Mr. Speaker, last month, the United Nations Security Council had a moment of silence in memory of the death of the late Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, known as the Butcher of Tehran. And even on the Senate floor, the Senate chaplain said something sorrowful about Mr. Raisi's death. The death of any human being is a tragedy, perhaps, but no one had a moment of silence when Osama bin Laden died, and Ibrahim Raisi killed far more people than Osama bin Laden. At some point, we should take a moment of silence to remember the victims of Raisi's vicious cruelty, such as the 30,000 Iranian political prisoners who were tortured and murdered to death by the death commissions that Raisi headed back in 1988. Or the 1,500 Iranian freedom protesters murdered in 2019, Bloody November. To the murders of potentially thousands of protesters who were incensed by the death of a young woman, Mahsa Amini, in September of 2022. Mahsa Amini was beaten and died in custody. Her crime? Not wearing her hijab just the way the morality police thought was appropriate. Among those murdered by Raisi's regime during the Women Life Freedom Uprising was 16-year-old protester Nika Shakrami. In April of this year, the BBC did an investigation and discovered documents that showed that Nika was heinously sexually assaulted and killed by 3 men from Iran's security forces after she was detained. And today, many brave Iranians face the death penalty for just speaking out in favor of the woman life freedom movement and speaking out for democracy in Iran. Just recently, we saw the rapper Tumaj, a critic of this regime, who on April 30th was sentenced to death. During the last year, Iran admits to having executed 853 people, the highest number in 8 years, and that doesn't count all those killed secretly. And I've referred only to the evil that this regime does to its own people. Iran, as we know, sponsors terrorist organizations around the world, including the Houthi, Hamas, and Hezbollah, and those are just the organizations that begin with the letter H. The evil done by Hamas, I think, is well known, but one should reflect on all those killed in Yemen by the Houthi, and now their action blockading the Red Sea raises prices of grain for poor people living near the Indian Ocean, from Bangladesh to Ethiopia, raising prices and leading, if not to starvation, to the compromised immune system that then leads to thousands and thousands of deaths. I'm proud to represent California's 32nd Congressional District, home, I believe, to more Iranian Americans than any other district in this country. I know firsthand from talking to them their opposition to the murderous Islamic Republic regime and their troubled reaction when they saw Ibrahim Raisi mourned without his victims even being remembered. The brave Iranian people deserve a moment of silence, not for the butcher of Tehran, but for those he butchered. And so I ask, Mr. Speaker, unanimous consent that this House observe a moment of silence for those killed at the hands and under the presidency of Ibrahim Raisi.